We are back, and we have good news here in the Imus in the Morning program. I'm Connell McShane in for the I-Man. That's not the good news. Nor is the fact that we're at the Duval Fat Loss Studios, but the idea that Peter Kiernan is in the studios with us. That's the good news. We were worried about you.
It's a pleasure to be here. New York City traffic has turned into a video game.
Oh, really? Yeah, Crash and Guns were scaring me because they said, Kiernan's stuck in traffic. He might not get here. I said, well, you could call in, but you like coming in the studio.
I like being with you guys.
And we appreciate you doing it, even with Imus on vacation this week. And
I like that even more. Not really.
No, be careful now. Peter's books, Becoming China's Bitch and 9 More Catastrophes We Must Avoid Right Now. We love that title, and also American Mojo. So he's been on this program to talk about his books, but the I-Man likes him so much, as we all do, that he's back to talk about current events. And I don't know. What'd you make of – what a day for Trump, by the way, yesterday, before we even talk about Hillary and whether Bernie should get out. What do you make of this race with people in his own party referring to Trump as a racist, and it's just a crazy day yesterday?
Look, there is a very definite line crossed. When you lay down the description of who's in the primary voting, and you compare that with who's in the general election voting, there's a gigantic difference. And the same game won't work in both groups.
Totally agree. So you think Trump shot himself in the foot with this kind of stuff, whereas if it was a primary, maybe people would even, if not rally around him, it certainly wouldn't have as much of an effect.
How many prize fighters, they prepare for one bout and they win, and if they use the same techniques in the next bout, they're almost certain to lose. If Trump does not pivot, he will lose.
That's an overused term, but it's so apropos here because I think that's what's happening inside of his campaign, that you have some people telling him, hey, Donald, you got to do this differently, and you have some others that have been there since the beginning saying, no, double down, go after him. This has worked for you in the past. And I think that's why he attacked that judge, is because he was thinking this kind of thing in the past, anytime someone's come after me, I've gone after them harder, and it's worked. And you're saying it just will not continue to work.
Well, and frankly, what I'm hearing that I wish I wouldn't hear, so people say he's got to act presidential. He's got to act presidential. Frankly, he's got to be presidential. The mantle of leadership is something that embraces him, and he has got to embrace with it all Americans. If he's running for president of the United States, he's president of everybody. And the truth is, you cannot have this exasperating approach where you pick a fight with everyone, even when it doesn't matter to the electorate.
Well, I thought the stuff with the press was fine. And a lot of people didn't, but I mean, maybe it's because I missed that news conference. But I thought going after the press actually works for him. That's what he does. He sets it up. But the thing with the judge, I didn't see how he was going to win with that, and what it had to do with the fact that he was Mexican. I still don't know. I know I've heard the arguments on the other side. Everybody tweets them at me. But how does that help? I have no idea. I guess he tries to get away from it now, but maybe the damage is done. I don't know.
Some of this is indelible, but some of it will be repairable. No one can quarrel with someone arguing with a judge. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But when you cross that line, and frankly, it's a ridiculous line to say he's of Mexican origin, therefore, I don't care what clubs he belongs to. I don't care what communities he's part of. He's an American citizen.
Born in Indiana.
And the justice of our nation is one of those pillars that, like I said, you can criticize, but you cannot make what are essentially racial epithets. You cannot.
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of people who know Trump well, people that we know that know him and other things, will say he's not a racist. They say he doesn't. That's not what's in his heart. But do you think, Peter Kiernan, that those comments would be characterized as racist?
Oh, I think they're, are they racist? They're completely unacceptable. They're ridiculous. They should not have been made. But more than that, what's worst about it is Trump knows better. You sit down with him one-on-one, he knows better. And this was playing for advantage. He says it's because the Clinton campaign brought it up, but he was playing it for his own personal advantage. That does not wear well. There's a selflessness to the presidency. If you just look at the pictures of George Bush before he was president and after. Look at the pictures of Obama before he was president and after. This is 4 miles, 8 miles in years, a very hard road. You have to have this unusual blend of enormous ego to run for president and enormous selflessness, because you're giving every minute of every day. It can't all be about you. And that's a hard thing to hold in your head at the same time as the ego required to go out and run and win presidency. But those two themes of grace and power, of ego and selflessness, have to reside together. And Donald Trump has to show that he possesses both of those in abundance. We know plenty about his ego.
Right.
We don't know much about his soul.
Peter Kiernan is our guest here live in the studio on the Imus in the Morning program. And, last night Hillary Clinton made history, quite frankly. I mean, I know that's what the headline in the paper is this morning, and it's true, the first woman to be nominated by a major party for president. But we kind of knew for a while that was going to happen. Bernie Sanders is hanging around now. What do you make of this? I mean, you're an old Wall Street guy, right? I mean, is Hillary going to have the support, for example, of Wall Street in running against Trump the way things are shaping up right now with the way Trump has been acting over the last week or so? Is she getting support from some people she might ordinarily not, or no?
Thus far, it's been almost a complete reversal. If you go back to Romney-Obama,
right.
Romney outpulled 3-1 Wall Street dollars. Now, that time was about $90 million, so it's a serious amount of money. Right now, Hillary leads in a major way on Wall Street. Remember, she's had a long affiliation with Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean, people go after her for the speeches and everything else, but...
even going back to her husband when he was president, and he brought Bob Rubin from Goldman down to be Secretary of Treasury, and there has been a long relationship, and an effective one. This is not all one-sided. They've had effective give and take. She is going to do well with Wall Street.
Now, the problem with that, I think, a little bit is she'll get a lot of money from Wall Street, but now Wall Street's never been less popular than it is, today.
I have to say that I'm a card-carrying member of this discredited class, and it is a group of people that have not done the job, in my opinion. It's 8 years. It's a long time since the 2008 crash. I don't think Wall Street has done near enough to reintroduce their value principle to the American people to show the way forward.
Could that, by the way, and I had this conversation with someone else, and I'll ask you the same question. It was Bob Schiller, actually, who's a big housing guy, and he was on TV with me last week, and we started to talk about it, and I said, boy, I hope this isn't true, but could that happen again, a crash like 2008? I mean, has anything been done to make things better? I mean, you know a lot about the economy and the way the markets are set up.
Anybody who thinks that Wall Street is anything like it was in 2008 is missing some very big changes. There is no business that you can create on Wall Street without the requirement of studying how you dissolve it, how you basically, they call it the living will, how you take it down to zero in the event of a major catastrophe.
So you think enough has been done on that front to avoid...
No, I wouldn't say enough has been done, but I would say a lot has been done. We never spent, when I was down there 20 years ago, we never spent 1 minute thinking about, hey, in a crash, how do we unwind this?
Right.
This is now part and parcel of everyday planning, is the resolution of problems.
Is that because you guys knew that you'd be bailed out, or it just wasn't something on the...
I don't think I thought for 1 second about being bailed out, that we had a sense that we were pretty good. And basically what happened was Wall Street was unintelligent about risk. And suddenly, when we wanted to get out the exit door, everybody held the same risk. And so we're all trying to sell the same things at the same time to no buyers.
Now, how's the economy, before we let you go? How are things now? How would you say it? Because that'll be the big issue, I would think, once we get past the craziness in the presidential race. You would hope, anyway. How's the economy?
The thing that frustrates me more than anything else is that we've failed to address and put a name on the number one problem. And the number one problem, by far, is jobs. Yes, we've created 10 million jobs under the Obama administration, and there's been a lot of excitement about that. But the most important ingredient has been left out, which is the market value of the job. Mm-hmm. We're not creating the same breadwinner jobs. And worse, when we do create them, we're not filling them. I'll give you an example. There are 4 million right now skill-based, breadwinner, middle-class, fantastic jobs open and available in this country today. They do not require the genius of job creation. They need to be filled. But what we have not done is effectively manage the talent.
Why?
So that people are – well, I'll give you an example. We have an extraordinary colossus of an economy, certainly with flaws, but we're going to create in the next 10 years about 1.5 million computer science jobs.
Right.
No nation on earth will come close. That extraordinary opportunity should be matched by talent. So let's look at the talent side of the equation.
Right. We're not producing the students.
We're graduating 40,000 kids a year. So if you do it over 10 years, that's 400 or 500,000. We're going to be 1 million people short. That's how you wind up with 1 million jobs times 4 that are not being filled.
Well,
that's our opportunity. We can fix that, but it's going to take a move of heaven and earth to create and fill these good jobs.
I'm really glad you were able to make it into the studio because you added some intelligent discourse to, an otherwise idiotic program. Earlier this morning, we were just focused on guns as sunburn and how that could be avoided, but now you've raised the level.
Yeah,
so.
a little hint, stay out of the sun. But,
Well, he's not, by the way, going to be getting any of those computer science jobs, unfortunately.
Oh, no, Guns has got it all, I have to say.
Thanks, Peter. Good to see you.
Great to be with you.
Peter Kiernan with us. We'll have more from Guns and everybody else coming up.